Hello, I am the real-life fake wizard. Today I am going to discuss the recently released live-action Disney remake of Lilo and Stitch. It's not often that I dedicate an entire video to a movie review. I haven't done this in some time. Most films are just not worth talking about. They're not worth doing reviews on, and while this will very much discuss spoilers, this is not really a review. This is a warning sign. I'm fairly confident that many of you who watch this video, or those of you that watch me, probably weren't going to see Lilo and Stitch this weekend anyway. But there are lots and lots of people who will. There's a strong possibility that this movie makes $1 billion by the end of its run. That is worth talking about, because this film, especially when compared to the original animated masterpiece, is not very good. This is a soulless cash grab. Are there good moments in it? Sure. The girl playing Lilo is wonderful and adorable, and Stitch is just like you remember him. But the changes, the rest of the story, need to be discussed, because this movie is going to make $1 billion, and I don't know if that's a good thing. Firstly, who am I? I'm the real-life fake wizard. By day, I am a small business owner, and I am speaking to this issue as someone who has been educated in business and marketing, and also, I'm an avid gamer and film connoisseur, spending copious hours of my free time engaging in video games and watching movies. I'm speaking to this controversy as a business-minded individual and a consumer of these products. Also, I think the original Lilo and Stitch is a masterpiece Disney classic. And that's a great place to start. The original film is beloved for many reasons. It's got heart, it's emotional, it's funny, it's got an Act 3 action set piece that's both hilarious and adorable. It's a near perfect payoff to the conflicts in Act 1 and 2. But more than that, the characters are all extremely relatable. The tragedy that Lilo and her sister Nani have suffered before the film begins is very sad. The loss of one's parents is definitely not a nice thing. And that's the point of this whole film, family and found families while dealing with grief. Nani, a young woman around college age, is now the guardian of her sister Lilo, and neither are great at communicating their feelings, but love each other very much. Introducing Stitch into the mix brings lots of chaos, but ultimately brings everyone closer together. This film was considered a hit in 2002, which led to an immediate green light for more sequel films, a Disney Channel series, a DVD board game, video games, and merch. Stitch sells, baby. They put Stitch on everything for a decade and more. In fact, Stitch sells so well that it surprises me that the live-action film we're about to discuss was originally slated for Disney Plus. Like, the movie was originally just going to be tossed onto Disney Plus to be immediately forgotten. Snow White got a full theatrical run, but they were going to send Lilo and Stitch to the Disney Plus Shadow Realm. Stitch is a powerhouse for merchandise. Why would you just throw it away? But then, I mean, that brings up a whole other conversation about how corporate executives are idiots. But anyway, that takes us into the soullessness of this live-action film. Again, spoilers ahead. And I need to be clear that there are spoilers because this film makes some radical changes to the source material. And those changes, in my opinion, quickly lose their impact and render the film uninteresting for a repeated viewing. There's just no reason to watch this again. While I was watching the film and taking notes, I specifically wrote, this film is Lilo and Stitch if it was developed by a production team that previously made 90210, Seventh Heaven, or some other early 2000s television drama. The CGI is some of the worst I've ever seen, save for Stitch himself, who looks great. The little girl playing Lilo is the true star of this film, as she carries every single scene she's in, outperforming every other actor. And I can hear some of your rebuttals already, just to the things that I've immediately said. You know, oh, this film was originally for Disney Plus. It only had a $100 million budget. Yeah, that's not an excuse. Those are awful excuses. $100 million is a ridiculous amount of money. And most of the problems that I have are going to lie with the narrative decisions and character arcs. Bad CGI is common. It's kind of strange how CGI is deteriorating the more advanced technology becomes. Like, I know there's an argument in there as to why, but even I don't know anything more about it. You know what I mean? The de-aging and special effects were better in 2010 on Tron Legacy. That was almost 15 years ago this December. The point is, we overlook bad CGI all the time now. Not that we should, not that it's a free pass, but it's a common problem. And this film has it. And the, oh, it's for Disney Plus excuse is a bad one. There are lots of bad excuses floating around this film. Lilo and Stitch 2025 is being heralded as the best live-action Disney remake. That doesn't mean much. Most of these films have been crap. Lion King 2019, Mufasa, Snow White, Pinocchio, Wendy and Peter Pan, Aladdin. Two of those you probably didn't even know existed. The bar for quality in a Disney live-action film is so pathetically low, it's on the floor. So saying this is one of the best not only doesn't mean anything, those words are a smokescreen to cover up this film's inadequacies. Being the best of a bad bunch doesn't excuse this film's mediocrity. There's more to be said about mediocrity and the acceptance of all the weak media that's created today. Things in gaming and movies and television are so terrible, like the properties being created are so bad that something that is passably decent is labeled as great. Things that are simply good and entertaining are labeled as outstanding and amazing. The barometer for defining success has been inflated, and because of this inflation, we've lost a sense of what real quality is. And then there's another argument that's already on the rise. Lilo and Stitch and all the other Disney movies are not for you, white men. Or, men. Or, even adults. It's just for little girls, and little girls alone. Okay, anyone who uses the "it's not for you" arguments are trying to dismiss your criticisms in bad faith. They just want you to shut up. Don't you pop the logic balloon in my head. I want to live in blissful, unquestioning ignorance. Lilo and Stitch, the animated film, was for families. For Ohana. Anyone of all ages can appreciate the film and take something from it, but Disney's lost the ability to communicate with audiences, plural. Films are made now, not even really for children, but for the people making the film. This remake is not exactly made for little girls, it's not really made for families, it's made to distract you from life for 90 minutes at the cost of $20 a ticket price of admission. That's about it. There's no real value there. It's forgettable. It's boring at times. I wouldn't even have made this video had they handled the other characters better. There were, I'd say, 3 categories of characters that were radically altered here. The antagonists, the support characters, and the protagonists. Let's start with the antagonists. Captain Gantu is not in this movie at all. The giant shark man is not even referenced. This is important because in both the original films and the television series, Gantu is kind of the main antagonist. Through the original animated film, Jumba and Pleakley are hunting Stitch, and they're certainly the bad guys for the first 75% of the movie. They have a change of heart, and at the end, they help rescue Lilo and save the day. It's character growth. Jumba, this evil mad scientist who was inventing death experiments to take over and just be a mustache-twirly evil villain, turns into a lovable uncle to go save the little girl in danger. In the 2025 film, none of this character growth happens. Zach Galifianakis' Jumba is one-dimensional and unchanged. He starts off as a pathetically evil character and ends as one. In Act 3, he more or less talks to himself about how evil he is and that he doesn't care about anyone but himself. The writing doesn't help this presentation, nor does the god-awful performance and voice acting by Galifianakis, who was clearly here for an easy phoned-in paycheck. Both Jumba and Pleakley have little to do and zero growth as characters by the time credits roll. Neither actor gave a crap to make their performances believable, with Galifianakis barely trying to act and Billy Magnuson's Pleakley overacting the entire time. There are moments where they try to make comedy happen with these characters, and all of those moments are wasted. There was nothing remotely entertaining about these two misfits. Not a single joke lands. So with the antagonists uncompelling, that brings us into the next two categories, which unfortunately are a lot worse. The support characters found in Cobra Bubbles and David the Surfer are shallow ChatGPT effort dog ate my homework comparisons to their animated counterparts. Firstly, David. In the animated film, it's clear there's a romance between Nani and David. There isn't anything like that here in this remake of a film. It's clear David likes Nani, but the film never confirms if they're dating or if she's even remotely interested in him romantically, save for a snide comment by Lilo. David is cowardly in this film, like a pathetic shyness. There are moments in Act 1 where he's speaking and he has no confidence in what he's saying, and it's not just the actor, it's the dialogue and direction. And this less than masculine dialogue is met with shushing and mockery from all the women throughout the film. Now, I'm not expecting David the Surfer to be Conan the Barbarian levels of masculinity, and masculinity isn't even a word I would have brought up in a conversation about the animated version of David. I wouldn't have even used the word confident to describe the original character, because he's just a dude. He's a man. He's a cool dude that likes Nani and rescues them at one point. That's really all. But in this live-action film, the writers, director, creatives actively chose to associate the terms like cowardly or shy or the opposite of confidence to this male character. Why? Why do that? Why couldn't he just be a young man like in the cartoon? Like just a regular guy? Why was it necessary to associate emasculating features to this character in a film that's going to be seen by thousands and thousands of children around the world? Whose prerogative does this serve? It doesn't support the story. It doesn't inspire the viewer. It doesn't serve the character because this character experienced no arc. Just like Jumba and Pleakley, the outlook, motivations, and beliefs of David do not change from start to finish in the remake. The creatives on this project actively chose to make the familial male support character into a pathetic, shy man. Why? It was a choice to do that. What's the reason, Disney? Well, there is at least one more male character in Lilo and Stitch, and that's found in Cobra Bubbles, a CIA agent who, in the animated film, already has an outstanding relationship with the Alien Council and the High Council woman. In the live-action film, he doesn't do anything. You could have cut all of his scenes and the movie would have resolved the same way. Ving Rhames' performance in the animated film was intimidating, and that was the point. Cobra Bubbles, like most of the aliens, served as something of an antagonist in the original film, being the undercover social worker that would determine if Nani was a suitable guardian. In this film, he's not the social worker, but he does insert himself as a social worker, as a partner, to investigate the family. Unlike Ving Rhames, Courtney B. Vance does not bring an intimidating presence at all. He's not threatening, and he also doesn't have a connection to the family like the animated counterpart did. And I would have been forgiving of this character if two things perhaps happened. One, they didn't emasculate David. But then two, they didn't emasculate Bubbles, which they do. In the original film, there's a moment of connection between the High Councilwoman and Bubbles where they recognize each other for having worked on a previous case. This scene reaffirms the importance of Bubbles and doubles down that he's not a bad guy at all and he's looking out for everyone here on Earth. It gives you another reason to trust the man. In the live-action film, there isn't this bit of dialogue. Instead, at the end, there's this strange parting of glances where Bubbles strangely smiles at the High Councilwoman, and she looks back at him with this puzzled, judgmental reaction, almost like disgust. And then it cuts back to a close-up on Bubbles again, where he's still smiling weird. It's such a jarring scene, and it's a jarring choice. Here, he has barely anything to do, and instead of giving us a reaffirming moment that this character was worth investing in, the High Councilwoman looks down on him judgingly. Why? Why do that? That was a choice. Disney, why was that choice made? You might think I'm reading into these sequences with David and Bubbles too harshly or too dramatically, but the film has these moments. They are there for a reason. This went through principal photography, directing, editing, scripting, cutting room floor, and still, this is the version of the film airing around the world. The small moments matter. It's in analyzing the fine details we see the truth of what the creatives were trying to say. I wish more people analyzed the finer details like this. Empathize with what the makers of this film were trying to say. And in this case, not a single male character is meaningful, impactful, or masculine in any way. And that takes us to the protagonists of the film. I've already said this. I think Lilo and Stitch were the best parts of the movie, and they were both great. The little girl playing Lilo was fantastic. But this movie suffers in Act 1, it's adorable in Act 2, and it falls apart in Act 3. Throughout the film, we see how Nani is wrestling with trying to be a guardian of Lilo, but is not having an easy go of it. Same thing in the animated film. She's trying her best, but her best isn't enough. In animation, Nani is vulnerable. She expresses her vulnerability. She makes mistakes herself. She raises her voice. She's not the best communicator. She's flawed and relatable. She's a real person, even though she's an animation. I cannot, in good conscience, say the same thing for this live-action Nani. And I don't know if it's the writing or the directing. I don't think the acting chops were there for the actress, but overall, this version of the character is practically flawless, which isn't a good thing. To be clear, Nani is near college aged. Her parents have died tragically within the last 2 to 3 months, and she's working desperately to make ends meet while also getting the government off her back, as the social workers don't think she's a suitable guardian. It's not easy. All of that is pretty deep stuff. The weight of that would be heavy on anyone's shoulders. And in the animated film, we see how heavy it is for Nani to manage. She shows her emotions and she reveals her fears. We see her cry, and we don't see any of that relatability from the live-action Nani. None of it. It's immersion breaking, it's fake, it's phony. I don't believe it, I don't buy it. It's established in Act 1 that this Nani wants to be a marine biologist, and she would have been going to college, but can't now because she's Lilo's guardian. Also, and well, this is a massive also, her parents both tragically died within the last 2 to 3 months. That kind of trauma is not just skipped over. There's real grief there and real emotions that this iteration just does not have. Or perhaps the actress is or was not skilled enough to demonstrate. There is no vulnerability like the animated counterpart. Nani never questions her determination. She never has a doubt. She just keeps going. She just keeps trying even when things fail. Even when the social workers are there to collect Lilo and take her away, there's a moment where they're approaching Lilo's room and we get this close-up on Nani's face as she's about to open this door and let them take her sister. You'd imagine that the character would be holding back tears or trying not to break. And there's nothing. No tears being held back, there's no nothing. She just kind of stands there looking at the door. And this is after spending the last 60 minutes with the character who never broke or told us that she was sad, doesn't say a thing. There's no discussion of her doubts to save her family. What I'm saying may sound insensitive, or perhaps I'm truly just a winter warlock with an icy heart, but about 6 months ago, I buried someone who raised me as a child. I was holding her hand as she died. I can tell you how real and raw these emotions are myself, but you don't even need me to do that. We've all got dead people. We've all experienced tragic losses that feel like hell. And in many instances, there's a whole lot of holding it together because you have to. And the job of an actor or an actress is to demonstrate holding it together while also letting the audience know that they are in pain, that they are grieving, that they are feeling emotions that real people feel. And not only does this movie not have that, they make Nani unbreakable. And in making her unbreakable, she becomes unrelatable. And in making her unrelatable, the character is no longer a character, but a projection of how the writers and the creatives view, well, perhaps women, This movie resolves with Nani accepting an offer from the social workers. Funding would be allocated to pay for Nani's college education, and Lilo would be turned over to the state, who would turn her over to Nani's neighbors. That's the finale. Nani gives Lilo to the state so she can go to college. And yes, Lilo says, "Mom and Dad always wanted you to go to college," and this is played off as a massive victory, but it plays off as shallow. The entire film, Nani makes no critical mistakes on her own. Mistakes made by others impact her, and she's shown off as being morally and virtuously correct all the time. She's a surfing expert and already knows all this science about marine biology. And in the climax of Act 3, after a battle with the aliens, both Lilo and Stitch are drowning. Now, it's established that Stitch can't swim, and because of his biology, he will sink in water, making him weigh something like a boulder the deeper he goes. Well, as they're sinking, Stitch sacrifices himself to save Lilo, and then Lilo begs Nani to rescue Stitch. Nani swims to the bottom of the ocean, expecting to pick up a dog in the weight of Stitch, but finds that Stitch is much heavier underwater. At this point, she just picks him up and walks the ocean floor like she's a skeleton in Pirates of the Caribbean. Yeah, look, I'm no diver. I don't surf. I'm probably not a good ballerina either. And I know that this movie is for kids, even though that's a terrible excuse. And I know that people can train for these things, and this is kind of a feat of strength, and they do tell us that Nani is a professional surfing instructor and all, but this rescue moment is played off in the same capacity of cringe, like the girls get it done sequence from Avengers Endgame. It's forced. It's too forced. And let's not forget, remember when I said there was this hilarious action set piece in the original film? This walking the ocean floor replaces that. There is no real action at the end. There's also nothing funny at the end. The Act 3 conflict resolves with an overbearing girl boss moment. Let's start summing this up. The villains are one-dimensional. The male characters are emasculated. The namesake characters are funny, adorable, and cute. Yes, I like them both very much. And the remaining protagonists are feminist stand-ins. Look, there are going to be people that agree with me. There are going to be people who aggressively, vehemently disagree with me, and that's fine. I want you to be able to love this film if you loved this film. I wanted to love this film. I wanted to walk out saying that I loved it, and I definitely didn't. And as I outlined earlier, it's in the small moments that the truth really shines through. The men were idiots, or villains, or useless. The women could do no wrong. And it's subtle. It's deviously subtle. You have to have been beaten over the head by countless other pieces of media to recognize the tactics being used here. This movie's gonna make $1 billion, very likely. It's getting 7 out of 10s everywhere. It's a holiday weekend here in the United States. Lots of eyeballs are going to see this. Kids all over are going to see this, and my fear is how is another entry in a long line of subtly influencing our youth going to go? Subtly influencing our adults too, because everyone, whether they know it or not, see the small details. But it's also in how you internalize those details. That's important too. It's like that Leonardo DiCaprio meme. Once you can see through all the tells of the entertainment system, it's very hard to unsee them. Do I have a bias towards the first film? Yes. It's a very good film. If this were good, I'd have said it was good. I didn't trash all of Andor. In fact, I said 40% of it was very good. But I can't, in good conscience, say this live-action remake was anything more than a shallow cash grab. And that's probably not a good thing. My friends, until next time, if this brought you any value, consider subscribing to the channel if you're not already subscribed. And continue to create, innovate, and inspire. I'll see you in the next one. Take care.